What's up guys, this is Eddie, welcome to a new video, Nature DPS, let's go. Okay, nature is not what it used to be. After the nerf gorilla, it's really just not up there with gadgets, rage, electricity, fire. But still, for nature, if you want to be, on top of the charts, or you want to keep up with the other powers, you have to have good amount of skill points, maximum artifacts, and properly geared. So that's the only way you can do good damage with nature. So right now I am 342 CR, my might is 100,223, and let's talk about the gear mods. I'm using Blast Adopter 5, Supercharged New Venom Boost 3 for head, Escalating Might 5 for neck, Berserker for back, Penetrating Strike for chest, Restorative Roar for legs, Maximum Damage for hands, and Dashing Combos for feet. So this is super speed based gear mod. If you're not super speed, you can get Explosive Block or Deadly Block. And the artifacts we're using right now are Transformation Card, Strategist Card, and Grimorium. So my loadouts are based on 4 artifacts, all of them you can see other videos. Strategist Card, Transformation Card, Grimorium, and Solar. These are the basic DPS artifacts. So I try my best to make all my loadouts around these artifacts, and they work really good. So let's talk about the skill points. Under weapon, I'm using dual wield. You can use any weapon you want, just put one in there. Under super speed, we are using speed force. Under iconic powers, robot sidekick, new venom boost, and heat vision. Under stat points, super powered, critical attack chance, critical attack damage, put everything in might and power, and if you have extra skill points, put those in precision. So this loadout is the beginner version. This is the easy loadout and it works, but this is the mid-range loadout. It's not gonna work in full range. So for that you will have to use Gorilla. That's a little bit advanced. We will talk about it in a bit. So before we start, we need to understand how nature works. Nature is basically a damage over time power. Most of the powers here are damage over time. So Serpent Call, this is basically your supercharged generator, and as you can see over here, it says damaging them over time. So this is an AoE power. It damages your targets over time, generates supercharge, releases poison. That's number 1. Number 2 is Briar. It also releases poison and it's also damage over time. Number 3 is Vine Lash. It's a single target. This is also damage over time. Number 4 is Impaling Thorns. This is your finisher. If the target is below 35% health, it will do extra damage. Number 5 is Roar. So what happens is you pop this, you pop Briar, you pop Vine Lash. These are damage over time, right? And what Roar is gonna do is, let's say this has like 13 ticks and it takes about let's say 10 seconds to complete those 14 ticks of damage over time. So if you pop this and then you pop Roar is gonna apply all those 14 ticks within next 2 seconds. So you will lose the poison effect, but all the poison is consumed and enemies take the remaining damage at once. It says right there. So this is how nature works. You apply the damage over time and you do Roar, and this is the basic beginner loadout. New venom boost increases your damage output, and that's about it. So we're not using robot sidekick. We're just gonna be using 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. It works. It do great damage in raids, but you have to be mid-range. So let's go and try it on sparring target. So 77k, 71k, some 63ks, and averaging about 55-60ks. But the thing is, it's about roar. Roar is not that balanced. Sometimes it will do 12 ticks, sometimes it will only do 4 ticks. So you have to keep moving, you have to position yourself right, and you will do good damage. It works. And it's also all about the crits. So if your strat triggers, you will do more damage. Also, you need to be buffed and use nitro, use compound. So you will be doing fine in the regular or elite raids, but you have to be mid-range. So now for advanced version of nature, what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this to gorilla, and under gorilla form, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this, and we're gonna put heat vision. So the first one is gonna be harvest. So what happens is when you're in damage roll, right, you're gonna do serpent call, briar, vine lash. These are your 3 damage over time powers. And after that you quickly pop gorilla, and under gorilla you pop harvest. Harvest is gonna refresh your poison and reapply your damage over time, right? So you don't have to go 1, 2, 3, you just pop this power and it will reapply all those 3 powers. Okay, number 2 is heat vision, damage over time, and we are gonna be using everything else is same. All the stats are same, all the specs are same. Only the difference is gonna be we are gonna be using solar amplifier instead of Grimorium over here. So solar amplifier is gonna boost your heat vision, and this is also damage over time. Number 3, same, impaling thorns. We are using that for our finisher. Number 4 is voracious plants. It's also damage over time, but it's also burst damage. It's very quick. So burst damage, and it'll only do like 2 to 3 ticks of damage over time. Number 5, robot sidekick. It's gonna be your pet doing damage on the side. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna be doing 1, 2, 3, pop gorilla, pop harvest, heat vision, impaling thorns, do this twice, and then go back to harvest. So it's gonna be reapplying damage. You do heat vision, you do finisher, and voracious plants. So let's go to sparring target and see the numbers. As you can see, 75k as soon as you hit the supercharge, because when you hit supercharge it boosts your damage output, so you hit higher number, 75k, right? Then it was 73k because the sparring target was below 35%, so we did extra damage and we got some good damage from impaling thorns. But there are 68k, 63k, 64k. The thing is, this is more, you can see it's consistent, it's always in above and between 60 to 65k. So really good single target, but there are pros and cons for both, loadouts. With this, if you get stunned, if the boss moves, let's say in FF, the new raid, the boss moves a lot, there will be like 90% chance you will lose your damage over time. So you will have to go back to normal and you will have to reapply Serpent Call, Briar, Vine Lash, and Voracious Plants. Then you have to go back in Gorilla form and do Harvest. So there is a big chance you will lose damage over time. So this kind of loadout works in raids where the boss is stationary or it does not move around that much, like in FGSC, last boss, or COU, all bosses actually, they all stay at one spot, so there's like very little chance you will lose your damage over time. So, but other than that, works really good. But the damage between both loadouts, it's kind of similar. This one is Gorilla is consistent, the other one is not consistent, but it does crit higher and you can do more damage with normal beginner loadout. So it's up to you, depending on the situation, depending on the raid alert, which loadout you want to go with. Now let's go and check AoE loadout. Guys, for AoE, as you can see, the stats are same. This means everything is same Grimorium, the specs are same. But I'm using rifle instead of dual wield because rifle's grenade is AoE damage, so you can clip a grenade with your powers. Same super speed, iconic powers. We're not using heat vision, just robot sidekick and new venom boost. Stat points, same thing, super powered, critical attack chance, critical attack damage. Put everything in might and power and rest in precision. Now quickly looking at the loadout, same thing, serpent call, supercharged generator, damage over time, releases poison. Briar releases poison and is damage over time. Voracious plant, burst plus damage over time. Poison enemies takes additional damage. Number 4 is harvest. As I told you before, it will refresh all the poison, and let's say you're locked on one ad and you're applying these 3 damage over time on that ad. So when you do harvest, it will basically refresh your poison and apply the poison and damage over time to all the surrounding nearby enemies. And number 5 is roar. Same as before, poison is consumed and all the enemies takes damage at once. So whatever damage over time you applied, it will be applied to the enemies at once with roar. Number 6 is new venom boost, and that's about it. Let's go to sparring target. Let me look at the numbers. So as you can see, 116, 110, 105 nature AoE damage from range is not that good, because the thing is, it's all about burst damage nowadays, and these powers are mostly, damage over time. So by the time you will be applying your powers, other DPS might have just killed the ads. So it does not work that good. But still, 116 is not bad. It goes down and it goes up because you're applying your powers and the animation are slow. Now let's quickly take a look at Gorilla AoE range loadout. It's going to be a little bit advanced. So for Gorilla, we're going to replace new venom boost with Gorilla, and we're going to put Wine Lash instead of Voracious Plant. And under Gorilla, what we're going to do is we're gonna do something like this. We're gonna be using robot sidekick. We're gonna use swarm. Swarm is also your pet, but it only stays up for like 12 seconds, so you have to spawn it again and again. And you know about harvest. So let's go and look at the sparring target. So 150, 138, 124, 25, 26. This loadout works better than the regular beginner loadout for range AoE, but you have to apply your damage over time and then quickly turn to Gorilla and then quickly, do harvest and, keep that up. But the numbers are higher because sparring targets are just there. They're not gonna die. But when the ads are there, they're gonna die. So you have to go back to normal form, then you have to reapply the damage again, then you have to go back to Gorilla form and then do the damage. And by the time that will happen, you will have lost your supercharge. That means you don't have any Gorilla form right now, so you're stuck with normal loadout. So it's all situational basically. So this is it. Now let's look at the melee. Before we look at the melee loadout is only gonna work for super speed users. So if you're not super speed, please switch to super speed, otherwise I'm really sorry. Alright, so for melee, we are still 342 CR, same might, that means we're using same specs, same mods. Let's just quickly go through it. Dual wield, same. Super speed, you're gonna go get super speed, and then go all the way down there and get Whirling Dervish. Under iconic powers, you're gonna get Robot Sidekick, New Venom Boost, and Sonic Cry. Under stat points, same thing, super powered, critical attack chance, critical attack damage, put everything in might and power, and then put everything in precision. Now let's look at the loadout. So the problem with nature is there are only 2 powers which are melee powers. Basically everything else is either range or supercharges. You can see there are like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 supercharges in nature, and half of them doesn't even work. So only 2 powers for melee damage, so you have to use the iconic powers. And I know some people hate it, but you gotta use what you gotta use, and this actually works really well. You can actually keep up with a lot of other powers when you go melee. So the first one, Thorn Burst, it works basically as Harvest. It spreads and refreshes poison, but we're gonna only be using it for burst purpose. You have to be really close in order for Thorn Burst to work. So it's a burst damage. Number 3 is Savage Growth. It's a burst damage. Poison enemies take additional damage, and since we are using Grimorium, so the power interaction is already implied, so that means they are already poisoned, so they will be taking additional damage. Now this power is actually really good. You can constantly hit criticals with this, and you can actually hit like 300k with just Savage Growth. So amazing power. Number 3, Whirling Dervish, spins you like a maniac, and then you can do additional damage to all the enemies in 360 basically. Now since we're using dashing combos, so when you use this, you press melee and it will go forward and it will do additional damage. What you're gonna do is you're gonna clip that melee with Sonic Cry. Sonic Cry dazes enemies, but doesn't matter what the power interaction is, it's just an iconic power and it's a burst damage. You have to be super close to use that as well. Also it's kind of 360. So number 5, Robot Sidekick, will do additional damage. Number 6, New Venom Boost, increase the damage output, and this is the loadout. So now let's go to Sparring Target and look at the numbers. So we have 122k, 109, 108, it's all above 100k basically. So it's burst damage, you have to be really quick with it. It's all about burst damage nowadays with ads. I'm just gonna put it out there, if you don't want to use Whirling Dervish and if you're not super speed, you can use Voracious Plant, but it's not gonna do as much damage as Whirling Dervish. So there's that. So this is it basically. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now, as always, read the pinned comment. So this is it, and I'll see you guys next time.